If you grew up in Willis or grew up in a farm and you now have accomplished so many things and have become an expert in your craft to where you can now walk into the ivory tower and mix and mingle with all of the elites. How is it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Sean Barnes. I want to welcome you back to the Way of the Wolf. On this episode, I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Interestingly, I've had a number of people reach out to me over the past month where they have had the opportunity to get exposure to attend a very hoity-toity fancy event or go spend some time in the Platinum Club here or and spending time around with, we'll say, the ivory tower folks and the elites, as it were. And they admitted that they were struggling with feeling uncomfortable and weren't really sure what to do with that. Now, I have experienced some of this myself over the years. Growing up as a Willis boy, and then at one point having the opportunity to go stay in hotel rooms that are multiples of thousands of dollars per night in a fancy gold-plated hotel, it felt super awkward, and it was actually very uncomfortable for me, and I didn't know what to do with it. So my hope is that I can share some perspectives on the things that I have come to realize over the years. And while, yes, if you grew up on a farm and find yourself in some sort of a platinum elite club, it can make you uncomfortable. And that's okay. What is important is that you figure out how to make the most of that. If you grew up in Willis or grew up in a farm and you now have accomplished so many things and have become an expert in your craft to where you can now walk into the ivory tower and mix and mingle with all of the elites, as it were, first, give yourself a pat on the back because bravo, quite impressive for you to be able to break through those ceilings and step into that room. Now, you have a responsibility. And I'm going to talk through what I mean by that. The chasm that exists between the ivory tower and the worker bees is massive, and it seemingly continues to grow more and more. And if you are now in between those two, where you work with the people on your team, you have built a reputation and brand for delivering results and have trust and respect with the people on your team, and you're now over here hanging out with the tops of the tops, bridge that gap. How do we do that? Well, first and foremost, when you walk into this room, you need to continue doing all of the things that made you successful with everyone else that is part of your life and part of your teams. But you have to do it in a different way. You have to communicate with them in a way that they understand and that makes sense. Developing skills around effectively communicating with everyone up and down the chain of command comes with time and experience. The more times you spend over here in this room, the more proficient you will become at interacting with those people. The more you interact with those people, the more you will be able to build trust and respect with all of the people in the room. And because of the command of knowledge that you have that is occurring within the operations of the business, it makes it easier for you to communicate what is actually going on in the business. Because Again, this chasm that exists is massive. And it's those people that build skills around walking across that bridge and opening lines of communication that end up achieving and accomplishing incredible things in life and in business. It's also important to understand that while you are building the trust and respect with everybody over here and communicating with them to help them understand what's actually going on, you also have to bring all of the information and knowledge from here over into the other room with the people in your team and in the business. And as I'm talking through this, I am keenly aware that I am portraying this image of us versus them, ivory tower versus workers. And I don't think it's that black and white, but for the purposes of this discussion, and let's acknowledge that many people feel that way. So do not think that this is just black and white. We have the elites, we have the workers. It's not always that simple, but sometimes it can feel that way. So definitely something to keep in mind as I'm talking through all of this. But when you understand what's going on over here, and you can take the messaging and communicate it to everybody on your team and help them understand why certain decisions are being made, you end up bridging this chasm that exists and helping all parties involved be more successful. When you focus on sharing knowledge and helping people understand, all parties are going to succeed. Now, not always, because there's obviously egos that are at play everywhere in business, but you can at least make the best effort at trying to help people understand. Now, I know what you're thinking, Sean. Okay, well, how's that supposed to make me feel comfortable in the ivory tower? I grew up on a farm. Okay, well, when you approach this with a mission of building trust, respect, and learning and growing, and then using that knowledge to help everyone else, that the fact that you have this mission and purpose will kind of ease or subside all of these feelings that you have of being uneasy or nervous or unsure or like, man, I don't feel comfortable in here. When you go in with a mission, that changes. So be intentional about how you are using that time when you are interacting with the people in the ivory tower. And damn, I keep on saying all of this stuff, and I might not even publish this episode because I really don't want to paint this picture of us versus them. But you can scour the internet and see how people feel about this topic. So many employees feel like the big bad bosses have no clue what's going on, and they make all these stupid ass short-sighted decisions. They don't have a clue. Well, yes, that does happen a lot. So if you find yourself in a situation where you can bridge that gap, use it. Use it to make everyone else around you better. And then for extra credit, you can document the process of how you went from the Willis boy into an environment where you're surrounded by the elites. And as you document your journey, and I'm not saying like write it in a journal, but document it in a way where you can inspire others and you can show them how to pursue that path and make it on their own. And they might not want to do it because, quite frankly, sometimes the level of uncomfort is significant and not everybody wants to do it. But if you can, I think you use it to ensure that everybody else can get better, that the team, that the business can get better. Now, how does that apply in personal life? I think it's probably the same. right? If you just end up surrounding yourself with people that have insane amounts of money, that's probably a good thing because you'll probably learn something from them. Maybe not, but hopefully you can figure out how do you make the most of it and learn from them. And then once again, you turn around and share those lessons with everybody else. Because I don't think the education system is really built in a way to inspire everyone to accomplish great things. I think our education system is probably built to pump out more workers. In any event, I am probably going to have to sit down and watch this episode to see if I ultimately want to publish it and that it comes out in a way that is genuine and that I intended. But I think that is all I have for this topic. Hopefully this is helpful. Ultimately, when you have the opportunity to go into these uncomfortable situations, just be intentional about it. Figure out how you can learn and grow, how you can make the most of it, and then how you can build enough trust to get the people on your team the resources and tools that they need to be successful. All right, I think that's it. I think that is all I have for this episode. Thank you so much, and y'all have a good one.